Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Breaking the Code. My name is Tim. This guy over here is Jamie. We're live on Facebook right now, but if you're watching this on YouTube, you missed out on a pretty awesome conversation. But since it's recorded, now you get to participate. Tonight, we're going to be having a discussion about variant covers. Are they too much? So, Jamie, I know you and I both have a lot to say about this, but why don't you go ahead and start us off with your thoughts?
Okay, so for me with the variant cover situation, I am an avid collector of the B variants for DC.
Right.
I have, well, let's just say, no pun intended, an issue with getting the A covers and then it just breaking that, chain of me getting all the B. But as far as we go into like the 1 in 25s, 1 in 50s, 1 in 1,000 kind of thing.
Incentive covers.
Yeah. I've bought a few, but it's something that it needs to catch my eye. I need to like really want that cover. The only one I've gone out of my way for was a Deceased cover with Jason Todd like putting a crowbar across Joker Zombie's face. And just pulling. So, to me, I guess it all depends. If you're a collector in that sense, awesome. Do your thing. But for most people, I feel like it is a little bit too much because there's so much to choose from. It's like, okay, do I get this cover that is normally $3.99, $4.99, or do I get the B variant, which is an extra $1 on DC side? I think Marvel's across the board, same price, different covers, but it's not as good as stock.
Cover price is the same, but what LCSs decide to do with it is something totally different.
Yeah, also, you got to figure in the fact that DC puts more on their hard stock covers. And when you get Marvel covers, you're just getting legitimately
the paper covers.
The same paper cover you would with an A. So it's a hit or miss. But as far as it being too much, in terms of event quality, yes, to me. If you have over 100, like 50 issues with tie-ins and going towards the event, and then there's like 30 other variants attached to each one, that's a problem. Like I know with let's say War of the Realms, for instance, with Thor. I brought it up in the past. It had so many issues and tie-ins, but that didn't count for the variants.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize that if there's say 6 issues in the event, you might have something to 60 variant covers.
Well, going on to that for a minute, with like the million variant covers, let's talk Detective Comics number 1000 or Action Comics number 1000. So right. I've got a couple of those here. I went to an Ollie's in Knoxville, Tennessee. If you have an Ollie's anywhere near you, go there and buy the grab bags. You will get some awesome stuff. Now, back on topic, what we were talking about with the variants. So you've got the A variant, right?
Right.
For Detective, the Jim Lee A variant, and Jim Lee did the variant cover for did the A cover for Action too. But then you start moving down the line, the B, the C, the D, and then the double A, B, whatever. So now you get another one, and this is the Tim Sale Detective. This I got out of Ollie's grab bags. And then you've got the one done by Jock for Detective, and I think this is the early 2000s. Whatever this is right here.
Yeah, that variant.
Logo and all that. Yeah, so that's cool. But there's just so many of them, and it's impossible to get a hold of all of them. And if you do, I mean, what are you going to do with 50 variants of the same damn book? It's
put them in a short box and call it a day.
Detective 1000 would get its own short box.
That's the point.
Bananas. But go ahead and finish your point.
So I've seen people where it's like they gravitate to one certain character. Let's take, I don't know, Blue Beetle, for instance.
Okay.
Anytime Blue Beetle's on a cover, even if he's not part of that storyline, but he's the variant, people pick it up because he's on it. You don't see too much of it, so that's understandable. Now, if you get into something where it's like a massive event going on, like I was previously saying earlier,
War of the Realms.
If you're collecting that, then all power to you. It's never ending. If you could find all of them, awesome. I particularly gravitate, like I said, towards the B variants. For DC, and in Marvel, it's whatever they kind of give me. Or
I get the B variants on all of my DC pulls. I get the A and the B every time.
I used to do that, then I got pricey.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I had to, pick and choose my battles there. But if you have like unlimited funds, by all means, be that awesome, collector. For people that don't, I would just basically say, like, it is a little much. It is a little overwhelming, especially when you're picking up an issue. I've had it many a time, like Carnage, for instance. There was a can't remember his name now. He drew for TMNT.
Not
Eastman.
Laird or Eastman?
Eastman.
Okay.
Eastman did a cover for Carnage.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it was like a 1 in 25 type thing. And I had the issue, and I was like, it was $25. It wasn't the best looking thing, but who can sit there and say I got a Eastman cover
of Carnage,
right? Like, and it's drawn in the style of TMNT. So it, me walking up trying to get something like that, it's like, okay, now this is a impulse buy. At that point, it's like, ooh, do I want it or do I not? I mean, I bought DC vs. Vampires came out, and the first issue had a glow-in-the-dark Green Lantern cover. Did I need it?
No.
But did I buy it? But did I buy it? Absolutely, because it's Green Lantern. But as far as it being too much, yeah, I think for some it is. I think they're trying to get the best bang out of their buck here with how many artists they can get on it, what kind of different styles they can get out of it, what's attracting people to it. There's people that collect strictly Jim Lee. Jim Lee's got a lot of variants.
Oh yeah.
There's people that get Matina. There's so much from
Art Germ or Inhyuk Lee.
So I mean, from my perspective, it's a lot. But as for it being too much, at that point, there's something for everybody then. Right. It isn't just, hey, I'm getting this. This is what is and what's gonna be. No, now you got, hey, I can, pick up one of my favorite artists, or hey, I can, switch out this cover because that cover's a lot cooler than this one.
Right. Okay, I gotcha.
Or they can add on to it like me, impulse buy. Like if you got the extra change in your pocket, go for it.
Well, let me go ahead and dive into this. So as far as variant covers, my initial reaction, my impulse response is going to be way too much. They are flooding the market, and again, impulse reaction is this reminds me of the market crash from the late 90s. You know what I mean? Because there's just so many of them out there. But going with what you said, there's a cover for everybody. I mean, you have certain people that mainly do variant covers, right? J. Scott Campbell does a lot of variant covers. His artwork is beautiful. I think it's a personal preference for a lot of other people, and other people just really don't care. But then you have Art Germ, who does wonderful covers for variants, and I love his variant work, and I go after his variant work. Here's a shining example of an Art Germ variant, Marvel Girl. Look at that. That just looks absolutely beautiful. I want it specifically for the cover. But okay, so let's go back, right? Okay. So back in the 80s, we'll start there, because previous to that, aside from the Whitman variants and things like that, there really wasn't much in the form of variant covers aside from like price variants and stuff like that. But in the 80s, you didn't even have it then that much either, aside from direct or newsstand, right? And those are the whatever you got either at the grocery store, or the ice cream parlor, or at your local comic shop at that time. But then you get into the 90s, and that's where they kind of start, right? Because like some of the Image titles, had variant covers. It was only one variant cover, right? For some of them, like Deathblow. I think Deathblow #5. You had the main Jim Lee cover, and then they did I can never pronounce his name right, and I know I'm going to get stoned for this, but Wiley Portasio or whatever his name is.
Okay.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. The guy that did X-Men artwork for the longest time was on X Factor.
As much as I'm not an X-Men fan, I still know who.
You know who he is, yeah. Well, he did a variant cover for Deathblow #5. I was at my LCS in Knoxville, Snake Eyes Comics. If you guys haven't ever been in there, go in there. Tell him Tim from Codex sent you, and he says hello. They'll know who I am. But I went in there and was sniffing through the dollar boxes, and I found Deathblow #5. And I looked on my CLZ app and I had it, but I didn't have that cover. I was like, wow, that's interesting. That's really neat. So I grabbed it, didn't even look at it anymore, and went home and took a look at it and went back on the app. And I was like, oh, that's a variant cover. That's kind of cool. Right. Yeah, so once you start to get into the 2000s and forward, variants become more and more common. They're not rare anymore. They're not uncommon anymore. They're common now. And like you said, you have the 1 in 5s, the 1 in 10s, the 1 in 25s, the 1 in 50s, the 1 in 100s, so on and so on, et cetera, et cetera. It just gets bananas. And then you have the incentive variants too, for if the comics shops buy so many of a particular issue, they get these incentive covers. I have my own personal opinions about that. And I think those incentive covers are just a way to fudge numbers on titles to get them sold, especially like if they put Rob Liefeld. As much as we all love him here on the Codex podcast and at Codex Station, if you put him on an incentive cover, right? And they're like, if you buy 1,000 of X Babies number 22, you'll get the incentive Rob Liefeld no feet cover.
So like the 1 in 1,000.
Exactly. It's ridiculous. It fudges numbers and it shows, well, this title sold this much, and then these companies all get these incentive covers for purchasing that. Whether they sell or not is another story, because Marvel, DC, Image, or whoever has already made their money. Now the comic shops have to make their money on that title, and they're banking on it selling with getting that incentive cover. Right. But go back to the 90s for a minute with the adjective list titles, that Spiderman and X-Men, with X-Men, the 5 connecting covers, the 5 different covers for issue #1.
The highest selling comic
in history. Exactly. And why? Because
by volume, not amount wise.
Exactly, because everybody had to have those connecting covers, right. And those issues now, those #1s and connecting covers overflow in dollar bins. They're not even worth the paper they're printed on. And another one that springs to mind is Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man, right?
Yes, but that's also 3 different covers, 4.
Well, with the X-Men, it was a bunch of different covers, but with this, you had the Platinum Edition, which was the regular with the...
4 different colors for the background.
Right, yeah. You had the main cover, you had silver, you had gold, you had green, you had the Platinum Edition, et cetera, so on and so forth, and it just gets out of control.
Well, with that, it's more, to me, when I think of variants back then, it was kind of like a badge of honor to me,
to say that you had the silver version of Spider-Man 1
for an artist to be like, well, I'm working on this book, but I jumped over to just do the cover for this.
Fair enough. Okay.
If you're working on a Spider-Man book, let's say you're Mcfarlane, and you jump over and do the cover just for X-Men book, they liked your work obviously and wanted to translate it over.
Well, like with X-Force, when they did the crossover with Spider-Man and X-Force, McFarlane did the cover for X-Force. I can't remember the issue number. I think it was X-Force #7 or #5. So it might have been #5. I can't remember, or even #3. The point is that McFarlane did the cover. That was the last bit of artwork he did for Marvel. And then Liefeld, I believe, did the Spider-Man cover. if I'm not mistaken.
I think
Right.
so.
Yeah. Yeah, but those were A only covers. There was no variant for that though.
Yeah. But like me thinking, like one that comes to mind always from that era is Venom Lethal Protector. And that's not even a real like variant cover. You had the normal
It's a
red.
misprint.
No, yeah. You had normal red, you had a yellow, and then you had the misprint. And the misprint there was like 5.
The all black background or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and those are selling for more than I make probably in a year.
The size of a small house.
Yeah. I'd love to have one for that reason.
Those are different though, and the reason I think that they're different is because they're not intentional variants. You know what I mean? Like they're not variants in the sense that it's the same book but a different cover, like a completely different cover. Like
exactly.
Like with Lethal Protector, you have the red, the main cover, and then you have the gold or the yellow, which is the same cover but just the holographic background is gold, and then you have the black misprint.
Yeah,
and I
some
believe
people actually
375
go for
was
those.
the same thing. Yeah,
some people just gear towards those as their variants, quote unquote. You know, especially like if you're looking back then compared to now, they've come a long way when they've basically seen like, okay, if we can get this artist to jump over here and do this, you know, what their idea would be for this cover, I think we could sell, you know, that, but we'll up the price because you're not going to get this person every time. Where now it's if I look at Marvel, I see Scotty Young everywhere. Like baby everybody.
Yeah,
and
that's what he's known for though.
And that's the thing, if you were sitting there and you're like, you know who'd be cool? Baby Moon Knight. Let's get Scotty Young on a variant cover.
Scotty, what are you doing, man? You want to draw Baby Moon Knight? Yeah, I'll be here in a minute.
Yeah, just give me 20 minutes. I can get that sketched out for you. And then, you know, you see somebody, I don't know, like Patina. Like, dude, like that guy's on every book. But you want it because you know how good of a quality job he does.
Right.
You know, and to me, yeah, it's a lot. It isn't too big to the extent where, you know, no one's forcing our hands to go out and get these variants.
Not at all. But if you're a completionist,
yes,
you know,
that would drive me completely insane.
I mean, like, okay, so like with Moon Knight, let's take Moon Knight, the Finch series that he was doing artwork and covers for in the beginning. I think it's Moon Knight number 6, where he's standing there, he's like this, and you've got the whatever. Well, on the A cover, it's just water or sweat or whatever the case may be. But then you have the bloody variant. Man, that goes for a stupid amount of money, not something that's not easily affordable, I guess, if I don't want to go to Burger King for 2 weeks. But but I mean, there's no reason why that cover should fetch that kind of money. And
I mean, and then like you're alluding to, kind of like one of my favorite books is Under the Red Hood. And with that, there is one cover where he takes, you know, Red Hood's helmet off, and you can see Jason Todd's face in the reflection. Well, there's another one where it's Jason Todd just standing there, like smirking. So that's a variant I don't have, and I need horribly, you know. And but it was just one. It wasn't like 32 different ways of looking at something.
Well, like 3 Jokers, right? There were multiple covers for that.
And
the covers
I
look
bought a
great.
lot of them. only because of the fact that Jason Todd was part of it. It take my money. Like, and then you had Joker in the actual Red Hood as his original persona. I was like, oh yeah, here. You know what? I don't need to eat this week.
Now here's some variant covers that I'm really partial to. I dig the crap out of these variant covers, and I think that these should be more accessible, and that would be the blank variants. I absolutely think because that's convention ready, right? I can take this and I've got the front, the back, the inside of both covers, both front and back, to get whatever I want on there. I love those. I love that idea. And I love the fact that I can take that to a convention and have my favorite artist or any artist put whatever I want on that cover if the price is right. Those are cool. Those are a wonderful idea, and these are card stock too, not the glossy card stock, but just the good card stock. Those kind of variant covers, I love those to death. The B variants with DC, I think they're doing a really good job on those. Absolutely, look at that. What issue is that?
4 of Titans United.
That looks amazing. Do you have the A?
No, I don't get the A's. I don't collect those.
Look at that, dude. That looks wonderful.
If I can get the glare out of it.
See, DC is killing it with the B variants.
Like
they
here,
are
instance,
killing it.
Batman 120.
Yeah, I've got that. I got that last week. That looks wonderful.
And then my favorite so far has been the Joker.
Oh, jeez. Is that Sam Keith?
I don't know who it is, but I'm gonna buy his work from now on.
It looks good right now. See, that's okay. So that's one thing that I can get behind with variants is that type of stuff, that type of artwork, like the Art Germ artwork. I'll buy anything he does for covers because I love the work that he does, and I think the artwork he puts out on them covers is absolutely stunning. But some of those variant covers, it just makes me wonder why they chose those or why they chose that particular artist to do them. And then that's where I guess that's just personal preference for me, and that's where I stand there and I'm like, why the hell is this even on the shelf? Why would anybody buy this?
Yeah, but there's someone out there that's like, I want that. You know
that's
what I mean?
right.
Like for me, like I said, I'll impulse buy from time to time. If I see something I like, you can't stop me from something I like.
I do that at my local comic shop.
But my thing is do I want to spend $25 on a couple variants every week, or do I want to spend the extra $1 to get the DC hardstock, very nice cover? But that's what I was saying at the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really a lot. It's a lot to choose from,
right?
But you have options.
Well, with that, let's go into the price point, because that brings up a very interesting portion of this conversation.
Right.
So within variant covers, right, once some of them start skyrocketing in speculation price and they start getting hot, what does your LCS do? Do they adjust the price to charge for those variant price or those speculation prices or those hot prices that are going on right now? Or do they leave them on the shelf and charge cover price as intended?
Most of the time they leave them and charge cover price. What happens is if the book hits and it's huge and it isn't on the shelf anymore, if someone sells it to them, they're going to sell it for what it is.
That's
There's
different,
a big
though.
difference.
What I'm talking about is
if they have it on the shelf,
their product. Yeah,
if they have it on the shelf and it just goes whoop, they don't take it off the shelf and just be like, okay, now it's $40. But if it's out,
yep, go ahead.
But I was saying, but if it's like out and there's no more of them, and someone comes back and is like, hey, I got what do you call it, Miracle Molly from Batman, who is a big first appearance, and I have the A and the B covered. Of course, they're gonna take them and then resell them for what they're worth now.
Well, see, like with my LCS, I go in there at minimum once a month, at most once a week. And I'm always, after I get my pulls and I have a conversation with the guys behind the counter, I'll start sniffing the racks, and I'll do the new comics first, and I'll look around.
I don't sniff them, I pick.
Well, yeah, but I'll look around and I'll start seeing variant covers and stuff, and I'll look for the titles that I collect, like Amazing Spider-Man or Batman or Dark Ages or Dark Knights of Steel, whatever I'm reading at the time. And if I don't have the variant cover, or if it wasn't put in with my pulls, I'll take it off the rack and I'll get it. But I'll only pick the covers, the variant covers that are enticing to me. And the cool thing is that I only pay cover price for those variants. Now, whatever they do with product, like after the month is over, well, like some of the stuff from months before are still up, but it's always been cover price for me. I've never had to pay a speculation price or a hot price for a variant cover that I've pulled off of the rack. The guys have never done that to me, and I think that that's the way that it should be, right? Because if it's, even though it's a variant, it's a 1 in 25, selling that for $25, that seems kind of snobbish to me. Maybe that's the wrong word. Prophylactic-ish is whatever. The point is that I don't think that should be done. I think that if it's got the cover price of $3.99, $4.99, $5.99, it should be sold for that much and not immediately pulled off the rack and sold for $25, $50, $100. I get that the LCSs need to make money, but they need to retain customers too. And doing something like that could potentially drive people away.
Yeah, and I fully agree with you on that. It's, how can I put it? The fact that like some variants you can't control. If they're buying and they're saying like, hey, this is not going to be a cover price. This has to be, because when it was with Diamond, I know for a fact Diamond had solicited prices when they sent them. So if you were saying, hey, this is a $4.99 cover off of, Thanos from Marvel, when that was he was on his rise, which I still don't understand. But, they could say, hey, this variant might say $4.99, but we want to charge $12.99 for it. That's what they did. So now that you got like them with Penguin Random House, which has been a disaster, it's still a little bit better because of the fact that I don't think they really gear what the prices are. I think that's more on the Marvel comic side.
Yeah, is that necessary for Diamond at that time though, to be like, even though the cover price is this, you have to sell it?
It might be in a contract. You never know. It could be in a contract with an artist that says, hey, if we get you, we'll sell it for this price and you make X amount of profit on it.
I understand the business side of that. From a consumer side, though, I think that's ridiculous.
From a consumer side, you're just like, I really don't like the artwork. I don't need it that badly.
Yeah, I'm not spending $25 for that.
Yeah, but at the same time, if that's the price I got to get it at, and I can do a little research and be like, real fast, and be like, oh yeah, that they're not changing that price.
Yeah, nope, not gonna happen.
Okay, fine. I'll take a licking on that $12.99.
Right. Okay, cool. So I guess it's safe to assume that both you and I agree that variant covers, there is a bit of oversaturation.
Yes.
But on the same side of that coin, you and I also feel that there's a variant cover for everybody, and there's a price point for everybody too.
Yeah, and like I said, it's all based on collector status. Like if you're a completionist, by all means do it, and if you get doubles, find me. I'll definitely take them from you. Just DM me. We'll figure something out.
I give my doubles to my kids.
Yeah. See, that's me. No. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's a lot if you're first getting into it. Like, like what do I do here? Like, do I get this one? I really like this cover, and then you find yourself spending $100 on like 3 issues. Yeah. But then you get into people that do collect and kind of know the market and kind of know what's going on, and you're like, I know which one exactly that I'm gonna get right now. I'm not gonna gear towards this.
For those newer collectors that may be watching this episode, what advice would you give them when they see the sea of variant covers? What would you tell them?
I would say, don't have the money in hand. Make sure you look around, walk around the store a few times, because that's something that people don't really gravitate towards. Most people will walk in and something will catch your eye and they're like, I need it. But then, you go over and you're like, oh, that's a cool variant too, but it's only $1 more. Do a little bit of research. You have your smartphone on you at all times now. We live in a world where everything's accessible through your phone. Do a little bit of research, look into it, see what you want. If you're trying to get into collecting, I would definitely go that route. If you're somebody that is going into like a local comic shop for the first time because you saw, Endgame and want to start somewhere, start with the normal covers, go for some variants that they have them on the shelf, because those are going to be cover price, and then kind of work your way from there. Start learning who some of the artists are, see who you like, again, research and go from there. Me, when I got into it, I had no idea why a variant, like why the cover was different and why it was skyrocketing in money. I never understood though. 1 in 10, 1 in 25 deal. So ask questions. We're an outlet for that. Ask us if you need it.
Very true.
Throw something down in the comments or DM one of us. Our socials are always posted.
Yep.
But yeah, guys, research, do what you need to do on that front. And don't be intimidated by it, because most people go, oh man, that's $100. I don't want to even start collecting comics if it's $100, you know, or this issue or this issue. You'll find it. Just take your time, look through everything, and you might not get everything you want right away, but over time you can kind of figure it out and do it yourself.
Right on. That's great advice, man. That's great advice. And I don't think that I could add anything to that you didn't already say.
Because I'm awesome.
Absolutely. So before we get out of here, Jamie, for the night, it's getting pretty late over here on the East Coast.
Same.
Yep. So you got anything else you want to say to the fans before we go ahead and scatter?
Guys, as always, be kind to one another. Be careful out there. The world we're in today, totally different breed than what it was. Like these videos, you know, throw some comments in, subscribe to the YouTube channel at the Kodak Station, and hit that notification bell so you guys don't miss any more of the content. Follow us here for more announcements coming.
And don't forget, guys, just to add one final piece to this conversation, collect what you like. Collect what draws you into reading and collecting comic books, because in the end, it's your collection, it's nobody else's, and you need to be proud of what you have. With that being said, go ahead and follow us on all the socials and anywhere podcasts are broadcast. All you have to do is type in the Kodak Station, specifically on Twitter and over on Twitch, where we broadcast the episodes of the Codex podcast Wednesdays every week, 5:30 Central Standard Time, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. Once again, guys, my name is Tim. This guy over here is Jamie. This is Breaking the Code, and we will see you next time.
See you guys in the next one.